Hi everyone, this is Lowell, and we're talking about songwriting. And so far, we've talked about uh, essentially having a purpose for your songwriting, and also talking about the fundamentals of melody, harmony, and rhythm, and lyrics spanning all of those. Really, the discussion of lyrics, we covered that lyrics can touch on rhythm, lyrics can touch on harmony, and lyrics can touch on the melodic expression. And so the musical element of writing songs really can be split into three parts, and this melody, harmony, and rhythm. And today I'm wanted to express a few thoughts about harmony. And harmony is I remember reading this book about music engineering, going to the studio and tricks to the studio, and it looked like a big book, but each page had its own, like one statement. So it looked like a big old book to read, but each it was like a secret, and one of the it was a joke, right? But the one page, it was funny. It said, remember that no chord progression is copyrighted. And so, you know, you can come up with, various chord progressions that everybody uses, and it's like, wow, that sounds familiar to another song, but uh, it's just a chord progression, that augments, the originality of uh, of the other material, and that's just a funny way of talking about harmony to start out with. Obviously, every musical style, if you're talking about classical music, you can start in one key, into another, in another. You can have all sorts of different compositional techniques. It's much more full or complex than simple chord progressions. But nevertheless, most of our songwriting in Western art music, in our Western culture in America, is based upon a simple chord progression. And if you want to find out more about what makes a good chord progression work, I've done several videos. One was on the Nashville number system, and that helps identify how basically the circle of fifths work. And you can have the circle of fifths outside of one key, where you have 12 keys that are possible. But you can also have the circle of fifths happening inside of a key. And that type of chord progression is best known by what's called turnarounds, or 2-5-1 progressions. And an augmentation of 2-5-1 progressions would be 3-6-2-5-1 progressions. If you want to find out more about that, you can look that up in my videos on learning the number system. Also, I have some other material about harmony in my discussions of music theory. So I encourage you to look that up if you're interested in learning more about the specifics of writing harmonic underpinnings for your creativity of songwriting. But the main point I wanted to share with you today is to try to utilize harmony to augment the core theme that your song is trying to convey. And I don't know if, we had a discussion about this in a music theory class once, whether we were all born with this or whether we learned it over time, but to associate minor chords with sadness and major chords with happiness, if that's something we learned in our upbringing, or is that something that is intrinsically unique to human experience? Does the minor chord make you feel sad for a reason? Does the major chord make you feel happy for a reason? But nevertheless, harmony really affects your emotions. If you hear a beautiful harmonic progression, it draws emotion out of you. And people who are skilled on keyboard or guitar with improvisational harmony. There was a young black man that I knew that we were friends, and he grew up in a church where there was no sheet music, and you would have one congregation member start singing in one key, and so he just by ear as a young boy had to learn how to flow and create harmony to whatever direction the congregation was going, and it was very improvisational and inspirational, and he developed into just a phenomenal, intuitive, harmonic creativity, and I remember really appreciating his talent and what he had to offer with all of that. But harmony really does move the emotions, and try to make sure that all of your lyrics, your melody, your rhythm, that it all is cohesive, that it's not just disjunct, where you're talking just where you don't want to be having lyrics that are very emotional charged lyrics, and then just kind of this happy-go-lucky bouncy, it's like it just doesn't work, it doesn't fit together. So be careful that everything is congruent in terms of the same emotional conviction and direction you want your song to take.